Hey guys, just wanted to share with you some trades that I've been using, some indicators that I've been getting questions about on StockTwits and Twitter, as well as Facebook from some friends and prior coworkers and things like that. I'm always a huge fan of knowledge is power, and if you find something that works for you, maybe you can share it with somebody else, and maybe they can either adapt it, modify it, or use it, or gain from it. But been studying a lot of charts here, been losing a lot of sleep over this, and haven't really said I've perfected it yet, but based upon regression data and looking at charts and based on different scenarios and watching the indicators that I've finally tweaked here, I feel like I have a pretty solid trade plan here. But I got a ticker symbol TVIX here on Thinkorswim. On the left side, I've got a 5-minute chart. I do use the Bollinger Bands. I do use a candlestick, and I also use Ichimoku on my chart. I'll explain what these yellow arrows are here because this is the most important thing, but I use a volume indicator. I also trade the MACD for momentum. I feel that's extremely important. And then based upon certain price action, you need to know whether something is oversold or overthought bought. And so I use the RSI, or the relative strength indicator. But I wanted to let you know something here. Primarily trade off the 5-minute chart, but I do have the 1-minute chart set up here. Basically what I did was I went into my studies here, and these are all the different studies that I have, and a huge fan of Ichimoku clouds. Provide support and resistance inside the cloud. You need to study on that. That's a completely different lesson, but a stock is considered neutral then. But inside my RSI crossover, I've got a 14 period calculation, and what I told Thinkorswim to tell me to do was when the stock moves above the RSI at 34, now it has to dip below it before it dips above it. But when it dips above 34 or below 34 and moves back in the positive direction on a 5-minute chart and even on a 1-minute chart, depending on how volatile the stock is, it's been a pretty good trade for me. And I wanted to share some of this information with you guys. But as you can see here, this was a couple of days ago. We had pretty much bullish sentiment up for the day. However, towards the afternoon, maybe around lunchtime, we broke VWAP, and we even broke the Ichimoku cloud, even though it was very, very thick. And we had this long, continuous sell-off from around 12:35 to about 1:20, so almost about about an hour. And I was looking at the stock because I usually trade off the 1-minute, but I kept getting these false signals here. And what false signals mean is that I don't enter a trade long when this RSI crosses back above 34 towards the positive direction until I see a crossover on the MACD. But because we had such low volume, and because this price action, you can't see it now, but on my ladder here, the asks were just eating up the bids, and it just, the bulls could not gain any support here at all whatsoever. So I was getting a little annoyed by the fact that it was getting so attacked here on price action. But you can see my P&L for the day. Nice. Anyways, so it kept having this constant attack here on the asks. The asks were just so much larger than the bids, and level 2 is showing all kinds of support, or I'm sorry, resistance. And so I was getting a little bit excited though, because it looked like a nice setup for a play. And I had this final crossover from the RSI of below 34 to a positive 34. And on the 1-minute chart, here is how I enter the trade. I look for the first candle to rip off the lower Bollinger Band line. The second thing that gave me a great feeling about this trade was the fact that, number one, it was a bullish sentiment stock for the day. So most retail traders are looking to go long. The third thing was that it provided, the Ichimoku cloud at $9.20 provided perfect support, and it bounced right off of it. And the last bit that will prevent traders from entering in false indicators if you use this indicator is that you want to look to make sure that your MACD, the histogram, is getting lower, or you're going to look for these convergence and divergence lines to cross. So once these convergence lines and divergence lines cross, and you've got that indicator that the RSI has popped back above 34, that's where you should enter the trade. So for this one, to me, the most interesting thing was I entered the trade here at 9:29, 9:30, and my stop was at $9.20. So if this would have failed and reversed back below 9:20, and continued in a further downward direction, I was going to be out of the trade completely. But because it had great support on level 2 as well, that's the most important thing I watch once I enter the trade, I knew that my next level of resistance was going to be this Ichimoku cloud here at 935. So we tapped 935 perfectly and had a small little pullback, and I thought about, well, this might not work and I might get out of this trade, but remember, I stuck to my guns at 919, and I'm glad that I did, because we got this crossover here on the MACD. Once we got the crossover on the MACD and we got a little bit more volume here on the volume scale, we were able to push through 935, which was plotted 26 periods ahead. You need to look up Ichimoku clouds as a completely different lesson, but 26 periods ahead at 935 provided resistance, and we were able to break through. Once we broke through 935, 936, I knew my next level of resistance was going to be the VWAP. We didn't have any problem breaking through VWAP. Although we did have a little bit of resistance here at the upper Bollinger Band line, and we did bounce back off of VWAP, as long as I knew that that was going to happen, because obviously first reason was it's the top of the Bollinger Band line. Second level is there's a trend line here that it's hitting. Third reason is it's hitting the top of the Ichimoku cloud. I knew that if we got a little bit of resistance and a small pullback, but we didn't really break below the cloud or the VWAP, that the sell-off here created such a great interest in getting long again on a bullish sentiment stock that once we broke 959, we were going to see a continuation. And the next level of resistance was going to be the whole dollar, which was $10. So that for me was an amazing trade. Let me show you another example. Okay, we finished high on the day. We had a gap up. Okay, 5-minute chart here, and we open below the VWAP. So, VWAP previous close 950. That's where the stock bounced off of. So because we had such a high day, the sentiment on this stock for the day was because we are below the cloud and because we got slammed below the VWAP, bearish sentiment. So I watched this. I think I entered here initially off the Bollinger Band because I got such a strong signal, and because we were at the previous close, I was able to capture probably about 10-15 cents here. And then my second trade for the day was here off of this support line of 944. Got long around the $0.50 mark, $9.50. Was only able to capture about 8-9 cents, but I was happy with it. Rejected by the VWAP, still continuing this bearish sentiment. Got another signal here on the 5-minute chart. Waited till we got the crossover. Was not able to get any resolution, kind of like basically break even. But I noticed that it was hindering in a little bit here in these channels, and for the rest of the day, it kind of tested this resistance on the Ichimoku cloud. I want to give you another example of an entry right here. This was today. Out of the gates, I liked the fact that 926 was providing perfect support. Got in around 940 and rode it all the way up to 958. Saw a little resistance here at the upper level of the Bollinger Band lines, as well as 962, and then ended up entering it around 948. Okay, sentiment for the day has been bullish again. Because we were so bullish for the day, or sorry, bearish for the day, I got two indicators here, two small trades that didn't really work out well, but luckily this last one here did. And as you can see, I got a little bit premature on my entry, something I've been trying to work on, but the MACD indicator, remember I told you about when it crosses over, after you get that signal above the 34 RSI, once the MAC crosses over, that is the indication that you should go long. And yes, I don't know if anybody held here, but we saw a nice continuation trend through the entire stair-stepping ladders of the 1-minute chart. And I'll go ahead and show you that real quick here. As you can see, we hit basically every line in the channel that I already had pre-lined out. Once we hit it, we had a little bit of pullback, and we had a second level of reduction. We had a crossover of the MACD, consolidation, and then move back towards the upside. And for the rest of the day, we moved through all the different levels. So hopefully the first part of this video, if I went a little bit fast, you can rewind it, and you can understand that on my Thinkorswim I use a study of RSI crossover, and anything that goes above 34, I put a yellow arrow on it, and as long as I see a crossover on the MACD that is an indication to me that I should go long and use the stop at the low of that breakdown. So this may or may not have helped you. If it did, good. If not, I apologize, but maybe I can answer some questions. You can reach me on Twitter at CompSciBoy or on StockTwits at CompSciBoy as well.